Hello everyone and welcome to a video on how to take Constantinople quickly as the Ottomans. Now, we are going to kind of speed run through a few of these here because they're not too relevant to the video. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit short, at least as shortish as you can when waiting for RNG to finish the siege. But I would say for your cabinet, definitely put the heir in charge at least and get control just for more levies from the capital zone. You could technically do it elsewhere too. This isn't too relevant, it's just stuff I do from time to time. Now, you are going to want stability at least, and that's going to be for the Black Death, but that comes much later for a separate video. What you're going to want to do, however, is get some reforms going at the start. I like diplomatic traditions, and then autocracy is good because, hey, crown power, we're already at 21 now. And then you're going to give this to your nobles. 25% combat efficiency for levies, and you get army levy size. Immediately, boom, right there, already done. There are technically other privileges I would probably give out too, but we're trying to make this short. I would also just don't tax your clergy, and we need the burghers to be happy for the Black Death situation later. And that I will hopefully be able to show you in a separate video. But you can just cut down the cost of court, so it's not too bad there. Raise minting as well. And then I'm going to speedrun the laws really quickly here. I'm not sure if these are the laws I like the most, but it's kind of what I've been starting to roll with the Ottomans. You're also going to go over here. You're going to insult these guys. You're just going to straight up insult them immediately. And then I would, technically you can spend your money. I would save it at the start, and you're going to see why in just a month. Once the situation of the Turks begins. Technically, this is going to cost a lot. I think the base cost drops to the next month, but we want to start this war right away. So we are just going to spend that money immediately. I almost said spam that money. And then the second you've gotten that going, the 1st of May, I just immediately claims on province, declare war. Technically, they're stronger than us. They have more levies, except they're not stronger than us because they don't work together. They're not going to work together well. I would gather your forces, and then the first thing I would do is siege. Actually, something else I forgot to mention. Improve your relations with Bulgaria and Serbia right away. Technically, you want to do that at April, but even June is still fine. The sooner the better. I would do it at game start. And the reason why is because improving relations, even when you have yet to fully generate diplomatic antagonism, is actually going to start helping because they will have antagonism at the start because you're a foreign culture. It will start dropping that antagonism. And that is going to help you a ton later down the line. Now, we've already killed off some of their armies, and that's very, very good for us. Arguably, the more we kill, the better. In fact, you could do Genoa as well, just to reduce the chances of people joining you. You don't need to do Genoa. I'm just popping it on there because it did just come to mind just now. Now, ideally, what will happen is they'll start to siege your capital city and kind of be a little disconnected. When the shattering happens is entirely dependent on whenever the ruler of the main unit here dies, the main nation. The sooner he dies, generally the better, because that will further disconnect them from each other. And by May of next year, you can just start annexing people. But if they don't, that's okay. You can still kind of just start sieging, counter-sieging. You are going to be losing people. There it is. It just happened. So, there we go. I think we're missing one town for you because it was liberated, right? Yes. I think we can separate you immediately, though, right? Yes, if you hold out till May. Because May is when the war began, so that's 1 year into the conflict is what the game is looking for. Now, a lot of the options popping up aren't really important for this either, so I'm just kind of skipping through them. But, you know, you do you. You take your time. You make your decisions that you want. We are just kind of waiting it out here. And you don't need to interrupt the siege until they're about to start having a chance to liberate you, because obviously this is a paradox game. The dice roll is against you. It will mess you up as soon as it's given the opportunity to do so. So sometimes these guys will agree to be your vassal. It is great when the event pops up this early on. Sometimes they will not agree, or sometimes the event won't show up at all. And you know what? If that happens, that happens. And then you can just piece these guys out, make them your subjects, take money. And then what you need to do is take the capital of both of these countries. They will usually start to counter siege. And if they counter siege for it, it is a little annoying, but that's okay because you technically you need to grab both, and you have until 1339 of next year before you're going to want to be ready. Although arguably the sooner you're done, the better, because then you can consolidate things and get your levies back. But once they're both sieged, you usually have enough to make them subjects. In this case, we don't, because they've been kind of counter-liberating against us here, which is not great. So we're going to quickly go ahead, fight them again, get another 10 points to the war score. And I think what we just need to do at this point is just siege the rest of this, is what it is. This is actually the most annoying part of the first half of this run, is just sieging down the remaining areas so they will actually agree to submit. Technically, liberating your own lands helps too, but this is going to be much easier because it's going to greatly increase the war score. And now they're both willing to agree. You can try to take whatever money you want, just because gold is good. Now, we will take a look at Bulgaria and Serbia. Bulgaria, 42 antagonism. Serbia, 30 antagonism. Genoa, we did as well. I think their antagonism is much higher because they're closer, so I think they still go over 50. No. 16.4. We literally did just enough to where Genoa would not join against us. So that is pretty lucky. Now, something you could do, if you've just been sitting on your money the whole time, you could train up levies. You don't need that, or regulars. Sometimes the Thedosian Walls will lose a level. In this case, they did. They lose it pretty early. Technically, you can still take Constantinople if they have 2 levels, but you're looking at a 7% chance of winning the siege. If the Thedosian Walls are still at level 2, at this point in the game, I would honestly still do the war against Byzantium, but don't take Constantinople. Take everything around Constantinople. Cut it off. Though, keep in mind on your antagonism, I would just kind of take the immediate areas outside Constantinople and just isolate the city. So the next time you go to war, you can take it a little later. It's not as soon as you would like then, but that will usually be enough to just kick Byzantium to the curb to where you're fine. In this case, we've gotten the ideal situation where Byzantium is practically alone, which is next to the ideal scenario. Thedosian Walls crumbled. We actually just killed 400 of their levies that were trying to move around. What I would do before you siege Constantinople, try to snipe their really small pocket areas to where they're going to be raising a few levies. Because they are going to have some more troops than you thanks to the vassal and the ally that joins. But keep in mind, our levies are going to be better. And then before you take Constantinople, I would be wary of your allies dying. I would take the surrounding area, because if Bulgaria or Serbia decide to attack the Byzantines, they will try to take those areas. So we did actually get into a fight here. And in this case, we're the defender, and they crossed over a river, and their morale was already worse, which is good for us. Remember, we made sure that our levies were better, so in the end, they actually took more casualties, too, despite having more troops. Quantity is useful in this game, but there is still a good aspect of quality that you need. Now, you have 2 options at this point. You can keep fighting the Byzantine army trying to kill it, because it is going to come back and try to siege and counter-siege. Or you can go ahead and start sieging Constantinople. In this case, our vassal started sieging Constantinople, so we're going to let our vassal siege it, because they've already started it. They will stay there until they die or get attacked. And as soon as you can establish your parliament, go for a law change. Make sure you choose a noble issue, because that guarantees you can pass this. Go to peasant levies. Peasant levies are minus 10 combat efficiency. Switch to noble levies. Now, you're only going to get 10% of the law at the start, but you just went from minus 10% combat efficiency to plus 2.5 combat efficiency. So you're already going to have your levies do better. In this case, accidentally ran into the Byzantines, won again because they had little morale. They couldn't win. So since we already know our vassals are sieging Constantinople, we could join and maybe make it a tad faster, but what we're instead going to do is just ward off the Byzantine army with lots of little sieges, taking a lot of their subjects as slaves too, which is just going to hurt them. As you can see here, they keep attacking us, but our levies are doing better, and because we're the defender, we're getting just combat defense bonuses, because they're losing sight of these areas. They can't exactly see what's going on. Well, actually, if it's core territory, you still have line of sight no matter what, I believe. Yeah, this is next to ideal scenario. You might get a situation where your diplo capacity shifts because your vassals got stronger. Maybe they annexed a subject in this case. It is a very easy fix. Just increase diplo spending, and that will usually resolve it. In this case, we do actually need to raise diplo spending a lot, just so you don't have an issue there. I would not raise the fishing boats during wartime. They are not going to help you with blockades at all. But as this is a level 2 instead of a level 1 fort instead of a level 2 fort, it's not that bad. Yeah, honestly, what's happening here is they're trying to come and save Byzantium. And then we just keep beating them. Actually, they're about to run into our army, I think. Yeah. But thankfully, they were weak enough to where we won. Actually, our vassal is now chasing them. That's how weak they are. That's really funny. But at this point, it is just kind of a game of waiting. Your vassal will... Yeah, your vassal will probably lose, and they'll probably start unsieging a lot of stuff. But at this point, they've lost so much that if they come after us with near equal numbers... Oh, we just got a free fog of war lift. That... I've never had that happen before, actually, so I would not count on that happening. It just means we can see all the Byzantine territories that, as if we owned it, which is nice. The Byzantines are going to try to unsiege things first, but now that the numbers are pretty equal levy-wise, there's no concern of us losing, because remember, our levies are better. Our levies have significantly higher combat efficiency, so under circumstances where we are equal, Byzantines can't win. Try as they might, they can't win. Now, they can siege and cause us pain here, but it's not going to matter. We're now just waiting for that 21% chance to succeed. So at this point in 1341, with a level 1 fort, you're just dice rolling. If it is the level 2 Thedosian Walls, don't try to take Constantinople. Take all the areas around it. In this case, Constantinople has fallen. And if you don't want the other territories, you could just take it right away. I would honestly argue, go ahead and just siege the immediate areas around you as well. Because now that you've taken Constantinople, there's not much the Byzantines can do here. Because, yes, they could go back to it and try to take it really quickly. That's why you want to make sure you technically supply it with some of your own soldiers. But they're not going to be able to do any of that. And if you are taking Constantinople, I would suggest this is kind of what you do for your territory. That way you've got the immediate buffer. Now, you could take more territory, but keep in mind, this is going to generate a lot of antagonism to the point where Bulgaria would join against you. You could take these two pieces as well. Like, you could take those pieces just so Byzantium won't have it against you. Now, Bulgaria is your big concern here because they actually do have a decent chunk of levies. But keep in mind, you're about to yoink the main area where a lot of Constantinople's pops are. You're about to just take a chunk of their pops out of existence, and you still have all of your subjects. So I would look at something like this, take as much money as you can to just bankrupt the Byzantines, and then if you got anything left over, you could try to spend it on something. In this case, I don't know if you can revoke core. You could revoke core, it doesn't take too much, it depends on what you're looking at. I don't know if you'd want to, but you can just do this. And there you go. Constantinople is yours. You'll later get an event to make it your capital, which will allow you to immediately core the entire area. That will help you get more money. That's going to help you do a lot of other things. Right now it's starving because obviously we siege the hell out of it. But that is just how you take Constantinople. In this case, by the end of 1341, depending on how things go, presuming the Thedosian Walls are only level 1, you will probably take it by 1342, maybe 1343. But with all of your subjects, plus the Cantarids joined us, which was a nice bonus. They do give extra levies, but they're not needed. You don't have to get them. You'll be fine without them. One other thing to note, sometimes the papacy will declare war on you to take this city right down here from you. You'll be fine. If Venice joins, Venice is the only one who will usually land, but in my experience, almost no one actually tries to land on you. That may delay your conquests, but you'll be fine. And again, if the Thedosian Walls are level 2, I would just take everything around it. Maybe take a bit more here instead to weaken Byzantium and just make it a subject. But you could keep this as core territory and this as core territory. And eventually you'd want to annex your subjects like the Karasids over time. Especially after they've kind of gotten some more of their own cores and maybe Turkified the area a bit themselves. But yeah, that is how you take Constantinople super early before the Black Death. It has depopulated a fair bit, partially because it was starving thanks to us, partially because we took 10,000 pops as slaves. But usually you'll be able to keep it relatively alive in the long run. This will this will change later. Anyway, I'm rambling now. With all this said, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you found this to be very entertaining.